This is Patricia Hazel for Patricia's Potpourri. And today I am in the Carbon Juice Lounge between 110th Street and 111th Street on 2nd Avenue in East Harlem. And I've had a fantastic experience having a conversation with a gentleman named Mr. Hammarabi. And we had many Hammarabi-isms. You know, I am so thankful to have you with me today. And I'll never forget the day in which I met you. My grandson and my other little grandson were coming from karate classes. And you engaged those little boys in a conversation and about their karate classes, and you even showed them something that I hope that you'll show our audience about strengthening ankles.
Muscles.
And the muscles, okay? But and from that day on, we have been in constant contact. You know, I have learned so much from you. I've been so thankful to be in your acquaintance. And now we're here together where we can get it and have it for the public. So, could you please introduce yourself to my audience?
I will, but first I have to give respect to mothers, which is the strongest part of the human race. And the person that you see me now is because of my mother, my father, and my stepfather. We make good individuals and we make bad. I got the good part because I followed my stepfather. I followed my mother, who had 18 children, and I helped to raise 10 of them. So I know how to do a family before I even have my own family. So I have 10 children, 20 grandchildren, 11 great-grandchildren. And many people who call me dad and pops and whatever, because I give people what they supposed to have, not what they ask for, because they don't know. And when people don't know, you have to teach them, like Mother's Day. Most people don't know when Mother's Day is. And it's so painful that my mother passed with 18 children, singles, and didn't know when Mother's Day was.
What is your definition of, or what is the definition of Mother's Day?
The definition of Mother's Day is that there are 2 days, and they don't teach you what the 2 days are. They just tell you a word. If you have a word and you have no definition, then what do you have? Nothing. So when you look at the word born, people think born means when the baby comes from the mother. No, born means when the sperm meets the egg. That's when something is born. And then the baby comes out 8, 9, 10 months later. That baby was birthed by the mother. But they tell me that it's my birthday. August 10th is not my birthday. It's my mother's birthday for one of her 18 children. But what hurts is that the women don't know, because we got taught in this system to be disrespectful to the person who can bring us into this world. You cannot come here without being through a female. A pigeon, cat, rat, dog, butterfly, all of these animals have to have a male and female to produce. So why do people want to put the female down? That's the people who run this country, because once you get power, we get powered, like we talked in the car. You see, we blame the female, and the female blames the male, but we don't blame the slave master. You let him get away. So when you want to find out history, you got to do what? You got to go back. If you go back, you'll see that this was a plan to be called black. Because I wasn't black when I was born. It's not on my birth certificate. My mother and father was colored. Where did black come in at? Until you study this Moorish science, is where you find out something called the black codes. That was in the 16th and 17th century. But it didn't come to us until Prophet Noble Ali died in 1929. Elijah Muhammad and them took over and started the Nation of Islam, and they called them the black Muslims. But they got the word black from the black codes, and he used it for himself and the nation. And now, after that comes what? The Black Panther Party. So you're seeing how it morphed into what it is. And now, my daughter's about 63. 60-some years ago, before she was born, they start calling the children black. So on her birth certificate, she's black, and my other children is called African Americans. The same father, the same mother, and somebody changed it, and we didn't recognize the change. And that's why we're so far apart, calling us something that somebody else gave us. Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and all those names. We don't know the history of our own selves. And I've been to many islands, and the people don't even know how they got there. A lot of them got there through the slave trade, but if you study Moorish science, we was already here. When Christopher Columbus came here, who was here? They said the Indians, but they didn't report that until they started pillaging, raping our sisters, and making a new kind of a race called Indians. And then when you made them, you gave them some land to shut your mouth. So you can't talk to Moorish science, and it's not taught. So after a while, you lose it. You don't know who you are. We got people say, oh no, they brought us from Africa. Well, they did bring some of us from Africa. Some of them jumped off the boat and went to Jamaica. Some jumped off the boat and went to Puerto Rico. All those islands, those are people who jump off the boat. Because if somebody jumped off the boat, I'm not going to go in there and get nobody out the water. But they are smart enough to write it down. Longitude, latitude, about 10 or 15 people jumped off. You know what they do? They send back a ship with 200 men on it. When they come back, they're pillaging. And what they're going to do? They're going to have sex with all of those women until they get pregnant. By whoever, they don't care who it is.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and you know what? That's what happened, from what I understand in history, in South America, or when Columbus came over, and he had his conquistadors go to South America, and he had what I say, he was conquering from within, where he had the native women become impregnated by the conquistadors. So when those children became of a certain age, who do you think the children had loyalty to? Their native mother, or their conquistador, or white father? Yeah. White-looking father, not white.
So that's the same thing that we are living through. We're living through the same thing. You cannot make a Caucasian man in Africa when the sun is hot. Their bodies wasn't made for that. So they was created in the Caucasus Mountains that nobody wants to realize. Just like the watermelon that you're eating is not real. They transferred it and made a watermelon down with a small black seed in it. But when I was eating them, their seeds was like this. So if you taste the watermelon now, you'll get the faint taste of watermelon. If you eat a big strawberry, big like that, you get the first taste is going to be strawberry, and after that, you don't know what you're eating. And if you eat some Haagen-Dazs ice cream, they use the little small strawberries. You taste strawberries until the whole container is gone. Because we have been transplanted, the animals have been transplanted, the fruits and vegetables plants transplanted. The bananas got no seeds in them. Tomatoes got no seeds in them. They all get rotten and mold at a certain time. And you gotta, if you don't eat it, you gotta throw it away and go buy some more. So who keeps getting rich? The one who provides it to you, because it ain't gonna last long. You know, or you load up all of this food that you want to eat with salt, because it's a preservative. They want it to last until you get it down your stomach, and now all of a sudden you got high blood pressure. For all of the stuff that's in your stores got salt in them, or a combination of salt and sugar. But we have to learn how to grow things for ourselves, and we haven't done that yet.
Well, you know, that I remember at one time, I grew up on 115th Street in Harlem, one block from the mosque, around the corner, and I remember we talked about farming, growing our own vegetables, because, you know, we were children at that time, but some of the brothers would have encounters with us and talk to us about the right way of life, and some of the sisters. But we talked about farming and eating natural foods.
Well, that's what we have to get to, and that's where I'm going at, as Sister Rashida Bey wants to turn over the Great Seal Moors to me. And because of my mother with the 18 children, because I know that if you grow your own stuff, you're okay. I know if you have a hot house, if you have a root cellar that you dig down into the ground where it's cool at, whether it's hot up on the top or not. We had all that back in the day, but now we don't have it. Because we was miseducated and we are guided by miseducation.
I'm wondering if some people had property, like my culture, one of the stops of my people was the Bahamas.
Right.
And we have some property in the Bahamas. And I was thinking, maybe if people got together and started growing natural things in the Bahamas, and things that we could have here. We grew up raising pineapples in Gregory County, Eleuthera. And I remember I took my daughter, we went to Club Med, and I told the chef, you know, we up at my cousin's properties, we had pineapples. He was so surprised to know, right on the same island, a little north of that the pineapples were being grown in Eleuthera.
Yeah.
You know?
If you eat a pineapple today, it ain't the same pineapple.
Well, I have on film where my cousin talked about how Dole stole slits of the Eleutheran pineapple and started their own product. And I went to Hawaii, and I went to the Dole plantation, and I can't tell you, I saw the master who was the overseer then. The way that man looked at me and the way I looked at him, he knew that I knew the really truth about what was happening, you know?
Yeah, you was a troublemaker. He could see it in your face.
Exactly. Exactly.
But you know, I just had some pineapples the other day, right? They're like this big and round. We never had a pineapple that big before. And when I ate it, I got the same taste I had with the strawberry. You taste the pineapple, and then it ain't there no more.
Ooh.
You know, it's only a faint taste, because when you make something bigger, it doesn't make it better. You're taking the same thing and making it bigger. It's not going to be better, you see? And that's what you see when you go in the supermarket now. They got all of these tomatoes and all of it's crazy. So we have to get something of our own. You need a land mass, not an apartment. You need some acreage, not 2 acres. You need a hothouse. So if you're in a climate like this here, you can grow your things inside of the hothouse and then bring them out in the summertime and put them in the ground. We just have to get our mind right, and the rest will follow. But we have to do that. And the main mind that has to get right is yours. You are the producer of all of us. So once you get that straight, we are going to be straight, because you're going to make sure that it's straight. But we have to get that so that we don't separate up. And the man thinks he's better than the woman. He's out of his mind. Anytime you think you're better than a woman, you got to be crazy.
Well, you know, it's not even about, it's like separation. I think it was Marcus Aurelius, I think I got it wrong, they had divide and conquer.
Yeah.
That's even way back in the day. And that's what they have done. They have divided us and conquered.
Right. So
You know, and even, excuse me, at little jobs. I work for the Department of Education, and I worked for the master, one of the masters of divide and conquer. He learned how to separate the staff from each other so that he could have control over the majority.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what's happening here, and it's happening wherever we at. England is taking over places that come from the motherland. America is taking over. It's still the same person taking over. He just got a different name, and they're taking it from us. We are the beginning of this world, the human race. We are the beginning, and the master of that is the female. So as soon as you get our minds right, then the rest will follow. You see? So that's what we have to do. Get the land mass, grow the fruits and vegetables, and we don't have to go to another place. You do it everywhere. One of my young brothers said, "Brother Bey, I want to come up here to be with you." I said, "No, stay where you at. You stay where you at and do what you doing where you at, and then I do what I'm doing where I'm at." We can't let all of us come together. This thing is too big. We got to go to every one of the states. We go to every one of the states so that we can find out what you're doing, what you need to be done. We need to share the money. You can't take that money with you when you die.
Well, you know, the problem with sharing the money is no one trusts. People don't trust each other with the money.
Well, I don't have that problem.
No, we have we have little groups of us that have learned how to get together and share.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. But I don't. Explain to me. Explain how could we learn to trust each other to work on a big project so that we can do better as a people?
Well, somebody has to be in charge. It's like the supermarket. How does the supermarket work? The guy who owns it, he ain't in the supermarket. We have to have people who are going to do the work that you need done. You got to have overseers, whatever you're calling that. So if I want something done in my class, I got to oversee my class. I don't want nobody teaching something that I'm not teaching. And is what you're teaching the truth or just some way you feel? We don't want to teach feelings. We want to teach about, like you said, we'll go to Jamaica. Like when I was in Jamaica with my son, I made mention of, why don't y'all start track and field over here? Or the double Dutch contest. And then each parish would have a different color rope. No one can outdo us. If they had done that, Jamaica would have been ahead of the double Dutch in the whole world. There's a lot of people over there who don't have nothing to do, and you're going to give them a skill in how to double Dutch. We don't even find it no more.
But you know what? I remember learning about, I think it was Dominican Republic or somebody, where kids had nothing, but they found rubber bands and they put it together, made balls and throw. And we got so many famous athletes from DR because of that basic skill coming from hardly anything, and they were able to be creative with rubber bands, made balls. They honed their skills of the kids and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, that's the skill that we have. Being original, if your mind is free, you can come up with so many different inventions. If your mind is free, if it's troubled, all you worry about is your trouble. No, we have to move past the trouble and think scientifically how to bring us together. We have to come together or we get perished. You see? So that's what my theory is. So I'm waiting to speak to the sister in Philadelphia, Sister Rashida. I'm going to send my son and my daughter-in-law to go with me to film the sister because she's a very important part of this Moorish science.
Could you tell me a bit about Sister Rashida and what she's going to do?
Yeah, Sister Rashida is one of the founding members of a group called the Great Seal Moors. They were people who left the temples and started the Great Seal Moors because there was something else to be told, and it was being done by the Great Seal because of what wasn't done in the temples, okay, is doing it in the Great Seal. Now, is the Great Seal perfect? No, it's not. But I talked to that sister. I want to team up with her so that we can bring us together like we taught America. Where do you think they got the Constitution from? They got that from us. So is all these states the same? No, they're not. They got different land masses, they got different things that they're a part of. At one time, there was only 13 people in the Union. So now how many they got? 50-some. So when are we going to do that? If you want to run your temple a certain way, correct, you can be down. If he wants to run it and he's correct, he can be down. Then we can form something that we have our own fruits and vegetables. We can fly them over here. You know, Long Island, upstate New York, all those people who had all those lands, they don't go to them no more. They flying in all the fruits and vegetables from outside of the country. So they lose their land, and out in Long Island, they're building condos now. On all that property that they had land out there, they're building big, tall complexes where people can live at now because they're getting the food shipped in by an airplane in a climate that just keep growing and growing and growing and growing, and they're shipping and shipping and shipping. So they don't need you here. So they don't care about themselves. Everybody's caring about money. That's not my life. My life is about how to live and be happy.
And how to bring more quality to future lives.
Yes.
And to make the generation better.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Could you please explain to me about the Moors? Because let me tell you what I know about the Moors. I remember learning in Africa, we had Hannibal, and he was in a part of Africa, and he brought Moorish people to Spain. But tell me what you know about the Moors.
Where is Africa? When you learn the science that you're already in Africa, you see, all of the things that we're talking about is the same landmass. Is this your whole body? Can we only talk about your feet? That's what they did to us. They got you saying Africa like it's not the same place. This is the same landmass and the same waterway all over the whole world. Like the Mississippi River runs down through all these properties. So the word Moor is bigger than what we think it is. It's Africa, period. And guess what? That is not even a name. They named that after somebody. So what we find out is that they take your land and they name it after somebody they know, a great conqueror. So we don't know what Africa is. It's named after somebody else. We had other names, but since we're not in control of our education, you see, what did they have? What's the education called? They wanted to co-opt us into their education. But I'm in Mount Vernon. It's not the same education that they're getting in the white neighborhood. You're getting something different. If I call it math, but I don't give you the correct math, then you're not doing correct math. You're doing something that they taught you. Like, they're not teaching you to think, or who, what, when, where, how, why, and which, how to diagnose whether something is the right thing for you or not. We're not doing that. Otherwise, we would be together.
Could you please repeat that? Who?
Who, what, when, where, how, why, and which. In etymology and epistemology, these words are used for the police department, is used for interrogation. In real life, it's to get information. Information was before the police department came. But they know how to talk to you and ask you certain questions and look at your face and tell you just lied. Just like we can tell that you're happy, or we can tell your eyes started jumping around, like we can say, ask you a question. We know you told a lie, but we don't know what it is. So we keep the pressure on, and all of a sudden you say, well, he made me do it. Because there's a song called Written All Over Your Face. It is written all over your face and your posture. You're moving around, scrambling in the chair. You know, I found out through an accident I had. I worked 2 jobs. I went out to the club, and when I came home, Doug's mother said, hey, Vern, would you go out to Long Island and pick up this case of chickens from Gerald? I said, yeah. So I went riding out there all that time I put in, and I got right up on top of a car, and I fell out. Boom. Next thing I know, I hit the daggone car. It was lightly, but that's when I learned my lesson about you have to get your rest or you'll kill yourself and the family. You understand? We have to learn these things about ourselves, that you don't overdo it because you can hurt other people, you know? So I am still learning at 82. I do not turn down the possibility of what you might say that I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know it. I'll tell you I learned that from you.
Brother Hammarabi, I could speak to you forever. I can have you enlighten me and others for others. But we have time limitations.
Yes, I got
Would you please come back again at another time and enlighten us? And oh, this is what one of your sons left. I like some of your quotations, and I wish you would write some of them down for me.
Okay.
I call them Hammarabi isms.
Yeah.
And you explain them to our audience, but not this time.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we'll see you in the future.
All right, thank you very much.
With one of my favorite guests. Is there anything you'd like to tell us?
Well, I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to speak out. I've been traveling for over 30-some years with my son. My son is Dougie Fresh, and this is my son's place here, Kashaka Takuma. Having a place to speak is big. So I've been all over the country speaking with Minister Farrakhan and Karis One. I have spread this word that I teach. I teach the science of what something is. If it's bad, I'll tell you that it's bad. If it's good, I'll tell you that it's good, and we need to grab a hold of that. Like, we need to get a landmass and stop paying people rent to live in something that they call affordable, but it ain't really affordable. It's better than the place across the street, but yours is just like what you talk about the events. I got a lady in my building talking about her events. Her events ain't like mine. I'm in the front of the building, and it looks good. In the back of the building, she doesn't get the same thing, you know? So I'll be glad to come back whenever you ask me to.
And may I have your hand?
Of course.
Oh, you have fabulous hands. Oh, my gosh.
Thanks to my
Okay, thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
New York City girl.